we're going to start working on this. But as of now, since that didn't happen, we're gonna make an executive decision and stuff like that. And literally everybody, like, except for these two old ladies, from Vanguard. Like, I'm heading on the way back to the airport, like, to the airport. Literally everybody that's at the airport, like, so, yeah, I really loved your show until the end. And I was like, what do you mean the what?
Most recently, make this available.
And they're like, yeah, you know, they're really expecting somebody to die. They wanted that. Like, literally just about everybody that talked to them, like, oh yeah, Massacre would have been better. It's like,
Jared,
thanks, Coach.
Frederick, Haley,
Dude, they're
Hannah,
as number of like 40 something. Some online alone. It connects.
Bailey, Roxy,
It's gonna be dope.
Rocky, I'm sorry,
Did you get one?
Victoria,
I'm gonna tell you why.
Emma,
I bet you get that a lot.
Kyle, Trevor, Dalton, KJ, Jam Jam,
Who?
Michael,
Drug?
Yeah, Dragon.
We're probably gonna get Dorina though.
Okay, the tuba section has left us.
I also play too.
They play euphonium.
I play both.
You play a little too.
Does it still count?
No.
Oh.
You're not committed to the one true instrument
The
solely.
one true instrument?
Then you're not truly a tuba player.
Actually,
Not even F tuba counts for you.
Not even that tuba.
You gotta do C or double C flat. Zip.
But it's so cute.
It is cute.
I want one so bad.
Or E flat. Or have you seen E flat sousaphone? Those are cute.
are they big?
It's like a little baby sousaphone. Kind of a Dixieland sousaphone.
Oh,
Or
yeah.
brass band sousaphone.
Yeah.
Okay, the reason we're doing the homework for Monday is because the homework for last Monday was not acceptable. It just wasn't. You have to get this 100% correct. 100% correct, or I have failed you as a sophomore music theory teacher. So, I mean, I've failed you as a student. Just failed as a teacher. Okay, what's the problem with root position 5-7? Come on. Come on. Don't resolve it to a second inversion 1 chord. That's just not gonna do it. Don't say those little words in your head 5 to 5 when you're dealing with root position 5-7. What do we say? Is it complete or incomplete? Is the leading tone in the soprano? That's it. How many ways are there to resolve it? 8 ways. 8. None of them include the second inversion chord as a resolution.
Okay.
I'll do one on the board if you choose. Choose the hardest. I can do it. Choose it.
On the past homework or the new one?
New. Past is the past.
Okay.
All right, one last thing before Jared chooses. On the second example, that is 7-6-5 of 5. Okay? It's not 7 of 5, it's 7-6-5 of 5. And because they're both minor keys, you need to raise the 6. It wasn't exactly right on the last homework. I apologize for that, but most of you still able to get that correct. Can you, I know it's a little awkward trying to write figured bass and finale as a text. That /65 is connected to the measure below it there. So, no one cares. All right. Do we understand 76505?
Yes.
Okay, good, good. That's what I want. Also, I'd appreciate the accidentals, not the key signature on the second part, and I would appreciate you putting the accidentals in. Okay, somebody was choosing the hardest one?
Jared.
Oh, I mean, they're all pretty easy, but on the second line.
We'll see, we'll see.
The second one on the second line.
Second line? Okay, I believe that's in the key of C sharp minor. And at this point, I think most of the class that is here can understand why that's in C sharp minor. Yes?
Yes.
Okay. I'm not, for all of you out there in video land, I can't speak for y'all. Okay, so y'all have the advantage of this already being drawn for you. Dun, 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 dun. A little song in your heart never hurts. Okay, so I'm gonna do the figured bass. Are you ready? Is everyone
Yes.
paying attention
Yes.
to the figured bass? And look at the magic 3. Ah! If I don't write that when I'm reading my basso continuo, I'm gonna play a B natural, aren't I? I gotta slash that, yes.
So just writing the big 5 is not enough.
No. And let me just say this. The second line of the instruction says, provide a figured bass analysis for both chords.
Okay.
There is no Roman numerals needed. Roman numerals are not figured bass. They are not figured bass.
Oh,
I just need the figured bass.
okay.
Okay? Now, if it's, now my resolution, I think the figured bass is implied. If it's not implied, it's that, okay? Now, what do we say about this chord? It's a root position 5/7 chord that is complete. The leading tone is in the soprano. That demands a root position resolution of 3 roots and a third, or an incomplete 1 chord. Yes.
Do I have to write 883?
No.
Okay.
It's not even there.
Right.
I don't know what you think you saw.
Oh. The-
Yes.
The third one on the first one. So we would literally just write 4-2 and then 6.
Lip read.
The fifth.
Yes, yes, yes,
Okay. So we can stop writing 5-1.
yes, yes. Yes. No need for any Roman numerals. Don't do any deceptive resolutions, please. That would up the amount of resolutions by a factor of some. Anybody else gonna do another?
The first one on the second line.
Dun dun dun! Because there's an accidental in this 5 chord, I am assuming it's in B flat minor. Okay? Okie dokie. Alright, before I proceed, do you know where I am? I'm on the second line, the first example. Okay, this is not root position. I know it's a minor key because of the natural sign and the key signature. This is important. In the major mode, this is a 4-3 chord. In the minor mode, it's a /6-4-3 chord. I know we've been over this 12 times. 13th time, I'll say it again, this is the correct figured bass. Did you have to do that your freshman year? Probably not. Are they doing it this year? Probably so. Someone was spoken to about this. Okay? Cool. Now, so here is, in the key of B flat, 2 to 1, 4 to 3, 5 to 5, 7 to 1. And for me, and I don't want you to be me, I just want you to do this like me, okay? I don't wish that on anyone. When I look at this, I just see this.
Yeah.
It just like boom, folds out like a folding out thing. Yes.
6-4-3 usually meant French chord.
Well, it's not okay,
Like when it's 6-4-3, it's
but it is to the dominant, not the dominant. All right, I'll do that. I can do it. I can do it. The figured bass, sir, is exactly the same. It is. It's just different bass note.
Well, different every note.
Well, that's true. Yes, it is. I'm just tickled. I'm not laughing at your insights. It just somehow.
So it would.
So how do I know the difference? This is a C and this is a D flat. If this is all I'm given, I don't call this a French sixth. And because the /6 is raising a something, I don't know. This is an augmented sixth.
That's
This is not an augmented sixth.
Yeah.
This is a major sixth. But because it's changing what's in the key signature, you have to slash it. Now, if this were if this were B flat major, this chord would be this, but this chord would still be that.
So French.
Okay.
So it's just the.
Yeah, there are gonna be times where, like, chords are gonna have the same figured bass as other chords that aren't the same chord. The figured bass only implies the quality of the chord according to the key signature and the bass note.
Gotcha.
Figured bass, in its essence, tells you the intervals above the bass. And it tells you that every time, whether it's there literally or it's implied. Okay, I think Rocky was responsible for this, but I'll take her job. Yes. What is it, St. Patrick's Day? Everybody's in green. Not everybody, but significant individuals.
Second line, third example.
Say that.
Second line, third example is in a minor key. and the accidental's in the base, so our figure base, our figure base would just be 6'5", right?
Ah oui, or ah yes.
Alright.
Yes, I'll do that one even.
That's not a bad picture.
Okay, second line, thoid example. There's some key signatures here, yes. Okay. I think it's in G minor. Figure bass does not describe the bass. It describes intervals above the bass. So we just do our magic. When I look at this chord, I just see that chord next. So my figure bass would be this, and the implied 853 on the next chord.
Cool. Got it.
Does this row understand the figured bass? When you're wondering about figured bass, just think, what would Bailey do? Bailey would be very complete, and it would be legible. And often correct. Do we have another question? It can be on the whole page.
So we need to be like Bailey.
You need to know.
Oh,
It's like, what would Bailey do?
Mm.
Okay.
Jesus.
I used to say, look at your wristband and read, what would Dr. Durant say? Now, I use it, that's for figured bass, talking to authorities, all of that. Just think, what would Dr. Durant say? He would not get up in the face of someone who could arrest him. He would not. He may be thinking evil thoughts about capitalism and jackboot police state, stuff like that, but he would not be saying that. He'd be saying, I did have a beer with dinner, officer. The swan finished it. Don't finish it. I don't know why I'm in the ditch. I was in the road and then the ditch just jumped up there and I'm in the ditch. Speaking of Pink Floyd, the first time I drove through the carport wall as a teenager was after listening to the brand new release of Pink Floyd, what's that called? The big one. Another
Broken Wall.
Is that the name of the album?
How's the
The
wall?
Wall.
What? No, you don't make mistakes.
So you drove through the wall while listening to the wall.
No, I wasn't listening to it at the time. I had been partying with friends, with a friend. And what was involved? Tangerines, Gatorade, and vodka. Gatorade gets in your system really quick. It is not a good mixer.
And just to get you drunk.
Oh my gosh. So drunk. Very disappointed parents. Gonna have to say, they were quite disappointed. And then my brother, the future preacher, got all witnessy to me. The next day it was just like terrible. Plus 2-day hangover. Lost my car privileges until I had to go to work the next day, and then I got them back. I had quit drinking by your age, so I don't advise that we do that. Any more questions? Are we about done? Yes.
In a minor key,
Uh-huh.
if your leading tone is in the soprano, your resolution is not gonna have a fifth.
That is correct. 3 reeds and a third. That is,
Oh, whoops.
a complete 5/7 chord with leading tone into soprano resolves to an incomplete 1 chord with 3 reeds and a third. The soprano leading tone may never be frustrated.
Okay.
Don't frustrate a soprano, okay? They want to go higher, not some meaningless note in the midst of the triad. Who needs the fifth? Sneer at you, fifth. All right, pretty soon I'm gonna replace this with this and check your papers. Taking personal responsibility for your inability to do figured bass. Yes,
On number 2, when we do the Neapolitan stuff,
yes. What is your question?
so we're in G minor, so our Neapolitan's gonna be A flat major.
Yes.
So if
Now,
we're-
what I do, just to interrupt you there, I think of the third, that's a C.
That's what I did.
And then, in the treble clef, I just write a triad, A flat, C, E flat.
Okay.
And that's how I do the Neapolitan.
The figure bass just needs an N.
We do not need any figured bass on this.
Okay.
Because we're not, what I need is the accidentals.
Well, yeah, I got that.
Okay. I need all of the accidentals. There's no implied key signature. Okie dokie. Now, if you're gonna go out of order in 6, GER 6, FER 6, you need to label them. If you go in order, that's fine. But if you don't label them and you go out of order, I'm gonna have to assume that you didn't label them and went out of order, or that you didn't know the difference. Okay. Either way, punishment ensues. We also played a lot of ping pong the night of the Pink Floyd album debut. Anybody like to play ping pong? I used to be pretty good at it, but I don't have the eyes for it anymore. I'll swing the paddle and the ball isn't where I really assumed that it was gonna be. I came in second at University of Florida in ping pong in my freshman year in college. This international student beat the pants off me in the finals, so I'm not sure I even scored. Any other questions?
What's the figure bass for an Italian chord? Sharp 6.
It's usually /6, or complete is /633. But that's against a key signature which I'm not asking you to provide.
Okay.
You don't have to write the figured bass on part 2.
No, I'm just wondering for.
Yes, /6
Okay.
with the 6th scale degree in the minor mode in the bass, flatted 6th in the major. Okay, who wants to be checked? Their work, that is. All right, this is handy. You're there, I'm here, all working out. Oh, yes.
Wait, did you say something? Oh, yeah, I did.
Did I say so? Check the tape.
You said something about there only being 4 measures?
I'm sorry?
You said, did you say something about there only being 4 measures in number 2? We have to write 5 chords, but there's only 4 measures.
Oh, gosh, dog it.
Yeah.
Just right on the last
Stop.
one.
I'm not gonna be able to write that 7 of 5, I guess.
Yeah.
Jared.
Well, the second line has 5 measures, or does it have 6?
Well,
Yeah,
that's,
five.
that's.
Well, I don't know.
So it's-
There's a double bar there, so I'm not sure what to do. You can't go beyond those 4.
Do you want us to split that fourth measure in half?
Maybe the 4th or the 3rd, they're all kind of fat. I think you could choose where you wanted to put the extra bar on.
All right.
If it's in the wrong place though, just count it off. All right, let me focus here. Yes, Jerry.
When we're writing a German chord, let's say we're in, I don't know, G minor.
G minor, okay?
This, for the German chord, the C sharp and the B flat are close to each other, so which one goes left and which one goes right?
Flat goes left.
If it's tenor and alto, it's lower left, upper right. If it's alto to soprano, the stems line up and the note heads are side by side. Or I could show you. Maybe there's a way. Okay, if it's this, what key were we in? G minor?
B flat one.
There'd be B flat right next to it.
That would be that, and that's where the accidental would go.
Okay.
Accidentals are lower left, upper right, always. Now, if it were this, lower left, upper right. Okay, and that's a little too squishy in there, but you get the idea, right?
Okay.
Here's one more thing I'd like to say to all of you, Victoria. I need to be able to tell the difference between a flat, a natural, and a sharp without really having to try really hard to do that. Okay? The sharp is kind of like a crooked tic-tac-toe. The flat is kind of like a B. And the natural apparently is also a sharp. A crooked tic-tac-toe. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry, I stole your paper and didn't give it back. The first one's right. Second one has nothing on it. Third one's good. Fourth one's good. Fifth one's good. Good. Whoa. What in the world is this figured bass?
Who's that?
You've never seen that before.
She's just brought to me, she said.
You erasing what I'm pointing to?
Yeah, it was raising it all.
7/3 is all you need there, right? Yeah, that was. There's ways you can check your figured bass, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You get the idea. I was wondering what your bracelet said for inspiration, that's all.
Then what would Dr. Durant do?
What would the chorus do, the choir? What would the choir do? Put up some risers. Boy, this sure looks odd.
What question?
Is this not those things?
Is this not an A flat? Yes.
The difference between a German and a 7 of 5 is just the bass note?
7, 6, 5 of 5. It does have the 6th scale degree in the bass, but it is natural or raised.
So in G minor, that'd be B natural.
In what minor?
G minor, B natural.
What was the chord again?
7-5.
Okay. I think an E would be in the bass, wouldn't it?
That's what I have, yeah.
Okay, E natural,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then G, B flat C sharp, or G, B natural C sharp.
You can do whatever. There's no, it's just.
It's a fully diminished seventh chord,
It's B
right?
flat, not B natural.
C sharp, E, G, B flat.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so the difference between German and the 7-6-5-5 is just the bass. Sure. Half that.
Let me think about that a minute.
Because the German would be E flat, G, B flat, C sharp.
Okay, here we are in G minor.
No.
Okay, I'll have a courtesy there since I have,
Yeah.
okay, that
That's
is.
the 7-inch flat.
Alright, now we wanna do the German.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
Okay.
I think it can be a fun thing that romantic composers use. The relationship of that just waiting for the boys downstairs to start pumping the bellows. G minor.
What's that?
Okay, so we're in G minor. Now, if I'm gonna do the German 6 chord, oops, sorry. Okay,
What'd that go?
that's the German 6 chord. G natural 6, 4, 5.
So what if
I'm
you
not
went,
getting that gig apparently.
what if you went from German to that 7-5 to 5?
Ooh! Oh, sorry, Jazzy. I think you hear that a lot in romantic music. Here's the thing. A fully diminished 7 chord can, by virtue of changing one note, become a 5/7 chord. And so that's also going to be true of a German 6 chord, which sounds like a dominant 7th chord, and a fully diminished 7th chord of the dominant. So that relationship is a transpositional relationship that is also inharmonic. And if you didn't understand all that, that's okay. Any other questions? Because there's been some good questions today. What I'm concerned about is I need everyone to fix their figured bass. If I've ever missed a figured bass or implied that it wasn't important to me, I'm gonna just have to ask for forgiveness and hope that we can move on. Okay. Spring break starts after class on Friday, not before.
What's the name of
Yeah, it starts at 9:05 on Friday.
How many of us have 8 o'clock classes? I don't, actually. Nobody has a Friday 8 o'clock class?
Absolutely not.
Never.
They'll sit in on freshman theory that day, or just stay home?
In my bed.
They usually do. What's the next class after this class?
Piano.
Is that right across the hall?
And when is that? In choir.
And then when,
In choir.
Choir.
And then percussion or something. And then whatever you
Man,
want.
that seems mean to have to like wait all day for percussion ensemble.
Yeah.
Especially in all your other classes. Remember the kids in elementary school that would pile up their books, start going with the drum set?
The pencils.
Oh,
It's usually like when you do percussion on someone, they're like, wow, we haven't seen anything today.
Well, you know, that's a good time for the professor to pass out the meth, you know? And like, okay, let's pick it up 8 minutes a minute today. What do you say?
Oh my.
I'm sorry, did that imply that a professor was giving his students or her students meth?
Not at all.
Because it probably would really help master words. Right now.
Or music.
Who's doing masterworks this term? Is it Dr. Bonet?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are y'all doing some world musics yet?
Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty
That's
well.
excellent.
It is something.
Awful.
All right, now for the rest of the class period, we're gonna start species counterpoint, which is not the way to write music. It's like basic voice leading patterns in that you're doing something that represents something larger, or something larger that can be represented by something smaller. So the first thing we think about in species counterpoint is the species.
Oh.
The first species, and this applies regardless of the number of voices that you have, the voices remain constant. First species is one note to one note. Second species is two notes to one note. Traditionally, in the 20th century, we have added three notes to one note to also be included in second species, but we don't do them both in the same exercise. We do two against one or three against one. Third species is actually 4 to 1. Fourth species is suspensions, and fifth species is free counterpoint. Now, when you have a 1-to-1 counterpoint, there are certain rules that we have, that we follow. They're not musical rules, they're counterpoint rules. Now, when we think about counterpoint, we think about Johannes Fuchs, who developed this species counterpoint. We think, oh, he was some 16th century guy. No, he was not. Beethoven and Mozart both studied his counterpoint assignments, and he was looking back from the 18th century at the 16th century. In study, we study 16th century counterpoint and 18th century counterpoint. 16th century would be represented most accurately by the music of who or from where, if you prefer it that way. Mahler?
No, Bach.
No, not in the 16th century.
The church.
A person's name or place. In music appreciation masterworks, what big mass did you learn from the 16th century? And did it have the word Pope in it?
No. Oh, Greg?
Marcella?
Ding, 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 ding! That was the ding, ding, ding time for the Jeopardy winner.
Dude, we got
From
it.
ourselves?
Duh.
Pope Marcellus Nyssa. Who wrote that? Oh,
Palestrina.
Ah,
Yay. I remember that.
Palestrina. Palestrina music was the result of what thing that happened in Italy, meeting of the Catholics? They had a what? What was it called? The Council
Oh,
of Trent. But if you refer to Trent, nobody refers to Trent, Italy. It's Trento. Even Americans call it Trento. And what did the Council of Trent say? No more funky music. White boy. It was, they would have different text, even vulgar text or profane text. It doesn't really mean profane, it's sacred and profane, right? So they would have non-sacred text mixing in with sacred text. There'd be different melodies going along. Look at the music of the 14th century. Who would represent that kind of stuff? Okay, let's move on. Okay, so Palestrina represented a much clearer, easier kind of counterpoint. So maybe what we do in counterpoint is first, we mainly do things in C clef, but because we're Americans, we'll just do grand staff. We have what's called the CF, or the cantus firmus, which it means the firm song, or the given song. We could have a firm song. Now what we want to not do is chromatic stuff at this point, because A, this is in a major key, and B, we're not doing augmented sixth chords and stuff like that in species count. Yes?
doesn't it have to all be the same rhythm? I mean, it is. I know it just has.
Not necessarily. Generally, yes, but not
It's
necessarily.
just the line that you're harmonizing.
Yes, yes, exactly right. Now, here are the rules. The last measure to begin with needs to be what's called a clausula vera, or an inverted clausula vera, and then later it could be a perfect authentic. But what needs to happen is an octave or a unison on the tonic on the last note. Now, what does a clausula vera mean? It means true close, and that is this. This sixth expanding to the octave. Yes.
So there's only two voices for this?
Yes.
Okay.
We do even up to 5 voices, but mainly we focus on 2 voices, kind of like you mainly hit 9 irons when you're practicing. We mainly work on 2 voice to learn the stuff. Adding 3 voices isn't that much harder, actually. Now, the other thing is, we only have perfect intervals on the very first note and the last note, or in a very weak rhythmic position. So in this example, maybe we could have perfect intervals on 2 and 4, maybe. But they would be sort of, okay. Now, So what does that leave, what do I mean by perfect consonants? It's octaves, fifths, unisons. What is not a perfect consonant? A fourth. Okay, a fourth above a bass is always a dissonance.
Place.
So there will be no perfect fourth. So what are we mainly gonna write?
Thirds and sixths.
Thirds and sixths. Thirds and sixths. Okay.
What if you can't write a third or a sixth?
Right, four.
Is fourth the next best option?
There is no fourths. To me, that seemed very easy to write just from being a basic part writing guy, right?
Okay.
Did that seem simple to you?
Yeah.
And that really, if we're thinking basic voice leading patterns, if we weren't at the beginning, we would think passing there.
Yeah.
But since we're starting on a